Welcome to How We Did It, a podcast dedicated to dentists teaching dentists. This podcast is powered by eAssist Dental Solutions, the nation's leading platform for outsourced dental billing and other services. All of the guests are winners of eAssist's Top Practice Award, who share their experiences, best practices, and what sets them apart in their communities. Their opinions and recommendations are their own, and you should consult with your own professional advisors with respect to your own practice. All right, welcome everyone to today's episode of our How We Did It podcast, our podcast dedicated to dentists teaching dentists, featuring our Top Practice Award winners. Today, I am joined by Dr. Krista Wortman of Summit Family Dental. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Alex. It's so nice to hear Top Practices Award. So excited.
Congratulations. So to kick things off, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you and what your journey in the dental industry has looked like.
Okay, so I wanted to be a dentist ever since I was a kid. I grew up in a small town in Michigan, and we didn't have fluoridated water. We had well water. And I had a lot of cavities as a kid, so I went to the dentist a lot, a pediatric dentist, and he made it a really good experience. And I would go home to the neighborhood kids and play dentist, like put them in my dad's like lazy boy. That shows you how old I am. Like there was a lazy boy chair, it goes back, and then put a little paper towel on them and put a little toothpaste and make a receipt for what I did. And then when I got in further into school, I liked the sciences, and I've loved it ever since. I just everything's different on a patient every day. It's almost like you're doing a craft. When you do a nice filling and see how it turns out, it's instant gratification. It's very rewarding. I still love it.
Oh, that's so great to hear. That's so fun how you just had that innate desire being a young kid and taking that to your neighborhood friends. That's awesome. So how does your practice differentiate yourself from maybe other practices in your community, and what does your community involvement look like?
So how our practice differentiates from others, I would say first off, is my husband and I are both partners in the practice. We never planned on it being that way. We met in dental school and had different practices that we were working at when we got out, and then it just fell into it that we joined this one together, and we set it up so that he would be home one day with the kids, and then I would be at work, and then I would be home the next day, and then he would be at work. So we'd work long days, and it was really great. Like, being there for our kids and being so involved, especially him, to have that experience as a dad.
Sure.
And we have long hours, which differentiates us from a lot of other practices. We're there early in the morning till late at night, and then Saturdays, and then we try to do a lot of community involvement. We've done a free dental program for the community for like this past 6 years before COVID, called Dentistry from the Heart. That stopped after COVID, and then just last Friday and the year before, we have done Smiles for Freedom, which is for veterans in the community, and that's been really nice. We also work with a program in Michigan called Donated Dental Services, which my husband and I each take in a patient each year and do a free smile makeover.
Awesome.
We've started to give away college scholarships to local high school students that are going, ideally into dentistry, but if not, into a healthcare field, just to help them with expenses. College is just getting so expensive now, and we want to help out those kids in any way we can, and that's been a really cool thing to help.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like you're heavily involved in your community and behind a lot of great causes. All right, so eAssist, we are partnered today. We are honoring your practice as a top practice. From a broader perspective within the field of dentistry, what do you think makes a top practice?
Well, patients wanting to come to your office, right? So, we really want to give them the best experience possible when they come, from the time they make that first call on the phone to when they leave, and a follow-up and everything like that. So we've been doing this for, over 25 years, and we've been growing every year since. So it's been really awesome. And There's no end in sight. And eAssist has been there to really help us with that growth. There's no way I think that, the amount of billers that I'd have to have in my office to help with all the insurance things, it just gets harder and harder every year dealing with dental insurance and all the questions patients have with that. And it's just like, it's so nice to just like hand that off to an outside source and let us focus on, patients that are in our office and what can we do to help the patients that are in our office getting treatment that day. And it's been awesome.
Yeah, that's great to hear. And thank you for sharing that part about eAssist. That was actually my next question for you. So maybe we can just expand upon it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we're partnered through eAssist, and eAssist helps the practice on the back end. So can you speak about maybe what initially brought you to eAssist?
So part of our growth, our growth, I would attribute a lot to learning what we've done to help give patients the best experience with Jay Geyer and the Scheduling Institute. And then on a Facebook group, one of the dentists that was in that group recommended eAssist, and someone else chimed in, and I looked that up. I'm like, oh my gosh, wow, this is really a thing. And seeing some of the webinars you guys had, and then I like that it was created by a dentist. I feel like they know best what we're going through as practice owners. And I really like that idea. I felt more of a trust to start with that, and I haven't regretted it since. It's been awesome.
Oh, that's so great to hear. That's one of the ways that we are different from some of our competitors, is that eAssist was created by dentists for dentists. So I love that that's what stood out to you and initially drew you in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And that brings us to our last question. So being a provider that has an established, successful practice, if you were talking to a student who was fresh coming out of dental school and maybe wondering what's next or where do I go from here, what would be your advice to them?
Okay, so coming out of dental school now is so different than when I got out. Like I said, it's been over 25 years.
Sure.
And practice ownership is getting harder and harder to do. My husband and I both do that together, and it's been awesome. But to start that up on your own, especially coming right out of dental school, is a really big undertaking. So I would really try and find a dentist that you could work with that will be a good mentor to you, that will be fair to you, give you good opportunities to learn at your own pace, and just be supportive. Just be supportive. Like, we truly try and have like a good work-life balance among all our team, so that, dentistry can be really tough physically, mentally. I don't know if a lot of people understand that, but just to like have your time off too outside of the office and keep from burnout, I think that's really good. We take care of a lot of things like being a business owner to make it easy for someone just coming out so they can just focus on dentistry, learning dentistry, getting up to par with their skills, case presentation. There's so much that you learn a lot in dental school, but there's so much you don't know when you get out that it really helps to work in another practice and to have all that taken care of so that you can really focus on honing your skills and getting better with patients in your dentistry.
Yeah, I love that. That's very practical advice. I love that you laid out qualities to look for in a mentor. I think that's really relevant with our audience listening to the podcast and something that we could all take away from. So thanks for sharing.
Sure.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed our conversation. Thank you for joining me on the podcast, and congratulations on your Top Practice Award.
Thank you so much, Alex. Thanks for having me. This was great. Thank you.
This podcast is sponsored by eAssist Dental Solutions, a platform dedicated to helping dentists get paid faster and get paid more. Dental insurance billing services provided through the eAssist platform can relieve your dental insurance headaches, get your over 90 insurance receivables near zero, and help you collect 100% of what you are rightfully owed by insurance companies. To learn more about how the eAssist platform can help your practice or to schedule a free consultation, please visit dentalbilling.com.